Goals in a 5-2 win at Edmonton on Saturday. College World Series, number 13 Coastal Carolina has advanced to the semifinals. They'll take on the winner of Tuesday's Louisville-Oregon State matchup. Elimination game today between Murray State and Arkansas. The winner advances to face the winner of tonight's number 15 UCLA, number 6 LSU matchup. NBA Finals, Game 5 tonight in Oklahoma City. Thunder and Pacers, the series knotted up at 2-2. Oklahoma City evened things up with a 111-104 win in Game 4 at Indianapolis on Friday. After tonight's game, the series heads back to Indianapolis on Thursday night, and if necessary, Game 7 would be next Sunday at Oklahoma City. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21. With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
You don't have to sink a 30-footer from the end of your driveway to come out of the NBA playoffs smelling like a rose. SportsGrid brings you all the angles, insights, and odds. And more to make you a winner. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The only place in football where the offense is always on the field is on Moneyline. With the two best hosts in radio, Donnie Rightside.
If anybody wasn't watching, listen, I don't know what you were doing.
And Kevin Walsh.
Forget act like you've been there before.
On the SportsGrid Radio Network, SiriusXM Channel 159.
Forget act like you've been there before. Why? Because it's the best hour of your day and it is officially underway. It is Moneyline. It is a Monday. It is the SportsGrid Network. It's your boy Donnie Rightside on a solo mission. Kevin Walsh out there sick, resting up, and trying to relax and enjoy a Monday here as we get ready for game number 5 of the NBA Finals. That a game between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. We'll hit that and much, much more. And the hot topics are certainly absolutely red hot. Now, once again, I'd like to preface this by saying Friday, said, all right, we'll hit the weekend here. It's Father's Day. We'll get to that in just a moment. Everything Father's Day weekend entail, which means a great NBA game, great hockey game, profitable, I should say, on both of those too. And it involved a Masters, a U.S. Open, which was phenomenal. We'll get that to in just a second here. But also understand this. It's June 16th. And let me just type in, because I should have done this before the show. NFL starts to training camp. You hear me typing? All right. Let's see what we have here. Give me the dates out here. I don't think we're showing anything exactly. Team specific, vary to vary. I wish I could just say it like on my account. Like, all right, who is the first? Let's try this again. Who is the first team to report to training camp? NFL. Let's see. And don't give me the first team like 20 years ago. Here we go. All right. Oh, this is 2024. Stop it, man. All right, so let's go 2025. I think this Google search. Come on now. You know what I'm trying to get at, Google? Let me have it here. All right. The New England Patriots are the first NFL team scheduled to report to training camp in 2025, with rookies reporting on July 19th. And on July 22nd, the veterans come in. So let's say we're at the 16th today. That's the 19th of July is when New England's getting into town. So eventually, people, we're about 1 month away from the NFL season officially getting underway for me, because that means when teams get to training camp. Chat box out here already firing away. Jordan P's out here. Darren's out here. Aaron's out here. Christian's out here. Let's get after it today. But I'm excited because why? Again, one step closer to football. But before we get there, many hot topics today. Look, nothing stopped this weekend for us. The NFL gave us news. Golf gave us news. The NBA gave us news. The NHL gave us news. Major League Baseball gave us even more shocking news. Before we get to that, though, did you watch J.J. Spawn yesterday? Did you watch the U.S. Open? And here's where sometimes I get upset. And not with myself, right? Sometimes I get upset myself, but not in this instance here. You know what? Come on now. We actually had major accounts, and even Joe Ranieri, who I did the show with this morning on the early line, which will be filling in for Ben Stevens all week long. He wasn't happy with the U.S. Open. I love the U.S. Open. I love it. The true test of golf, where you're seeing players that can't just hit a great shot on every single shot they take. Going at pins left and right. Doesn't matter if you hit the ball 340 yards and it's sideways. As long as you hit the ball 340 yards, you can recover. You can't do that at the Open. It takes precision. It takes a great drive, a great follow-up shot, a great putt here. And if you are in trouble, it takes a scramble just to get you home, and you pray that you can make par on a certain hole. And boy, we got that in spades. You take a look at the final scores of the U.S. Open, which only had one golfer, who finished under par, and that was the winner, J.J. Spawn. He was a -1, shot 66 round number 1, 72 in round number 2, 69 in round number 3, and 72 in round number 4, which included a 40 on the front 9 here, and he still was able to recover and win the U.S. Open, cashing a check for $4.3 million. Do I want to see the U.S. Open type conditions every single week? No, I don't. The same way as I don't want to see a football game end 7-3, and let's just say an NBA game 68-66 for old time's sake. I don't like that. But you understand what you get out of the USGA. The U.S. Open, once again, is the true test of golf, where par is the score that you should be required to try to chase. And that's exactly what you got out of that monster field. Like, we had guys that finished the tournament, right? Forget about even getting cut, guys. Philip Barbary Jr. Yeah, he was a plus 24 in that tournament. Cam Davis, plus 22. Tons of players in the teens. Not under, not 17 under. 17 over par. Household names out here getting broken in half on that golf course just to try to stay and hang around. And for J.J. Spawn to shoot 1 under when he needed a 60-plus foot putt to go down to win it, to get him to -1, absolutely phenomenal. I salute you, USGA. Fantastic stuff by the USGA. One time a year, we get a true test of golf. Thank you for providing that. The weather conditions were terrible. The golf course was soaked out there. So tough all the way through. 300-yard par 3s. Fantastic. That's what we got. All right. U.S. Open out of the way. And by the way, did everybody have a great Father's Day out there? If you are a father, congratulations. If you enjoyed your day. If you're not a father, you have a father, congratulations. Spending that time with the loved ones close to you, absolutely fantastic stuff. I had a great Father's Day weekend all the way through. Got some cigars, got taken out to some nice meals here, got to see my pops. I mean, it was great all the way through. Congratulations to the fathers out there. Let's do it again next year. Same time, same place with the U.S. Open. But we also got some news dropped on us on Father's Day evening. If you were settling in, saying, man, ate a lot, the family's still around, let me watch a little Major League Baseball here on Sunday Night Baseball. I want to tune in and see what the Dodgers are up to tonight. I want to see what the San Francisco Giants are up to. Battle of the NL West. 15 minutes before the game, Kyle Harrison was scratched. Ooh, that's interesting. Why? Trade alert. The San Francisco Giants moved 2 pitchers and 2 prospects to the Boston Red Sox in exchange for Rafael Devers, and away we go. Like, we expect these blockbuster trades possibly to happen around the trade deadline. This came months early, and I love it. Because, number one, I'm going to rip the Boston Red Sox. You're telling me, again, of all the Major League Baseball teams in Major League Baseball, everybody's profitable, everybody's worth a ton of money. But number 3 on the Forbes list for franchise worth, that's the Boston Red Sox. I believe it's behind the New York Yankees, and I want to say the Los Angeles Dodgers. They are number 3. But it feels like they operate in like a vacuum that goes, we understand 2 things, just like the Chicago Cubs. We're in a big city. And by the way, Boston only has 1 baseball team. Chicago has 2, White Sox and the Cubs. But the Cubs are like, you know what? We'll spend a little bit of money, but we are sold out every week here at Wrigley Field. We print money. And whether or not we're good or bad, the lovable Cubs will always make money. And that's what's most important. Well, Boston theoretically is, again, top three value in Major League Baseball by Forbes magazine, which means they start from the top of Maine all the way down to Connecticut, where they own all of that landscape in between. They print money. That Fenway sold out every single game. We all understand this. But the fact of the matter is, they didn't sign Mookie Betts, right? Move on. We got Alex Verdugo. We got him back, man. Centerpiece of the franchise for the next 20 years here in Boston. We love it. Verdugo, go park your car in the yard. Time to watch Verdugo hit. How'd that work out for him? Like letting Mookie Betts go. You got to be kidding me. Like Mookie Betts, he was the Red Sox. Xander Bogaerts. Love Xander Bogaerts, but maybe he wasn't filling up the tab. I wouldn't pay Xander Bogaerts all that money. He goes out of town and he winds up in San Diego. So many good players there for the Boston Red Sox of the past year. And now Rafael Devers is gone. A guy you just signed to a $300+ million contract all of a sudden is not your guy anymore. Now, I get it. The Red Sox do have a lot of good young talent coming through the system, but the Red Sox should be adding on to that talent with veterans that are already established as all-stars and some of the best hitters in Major League Baseball, which includes Rafael Devers. What are we doing out there, Boston Yard? Terrible move for the Boston Red Sox. Ramifications and more we'll talk about. Major League Baseball is going to play today, too. I got everything covered. You got it covered. I got it covered. Meet me back here after the break.
Boys of summer have returned and taken the field for the great American pastime. You should monetize that. Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With your news flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Sky Rizzi. President Donald Trump celebrated the American military in remarks following a parade in Washington, D.C. commemorating the 250th anniversary of the armed services. In all, 84 military vehicles, including 28 Abrams tanks, 6,700 marching soldiers, and other military presentations rolled through the streets of Washington for the celebration, which also happened to fall on Trump's 79th birthday. Trump touted the military's might and offered a warning to America's enemies. Flash flooding caused by torrential rains killed 5 people in northern West Virginia, and rescue crews were searching for 3 other people who were missing Sunday as authorities assess damage to roads, bridges, natural gas lines, and other infrastructure. Officials say 2.5 to 4 inches of rain fell in parts of Wheeling and Ohio County within about a half hour on Saturday night. I'm Trey Westerberg with your news flash.
With Progressive Snapshot, you could save on auto insurance rates by driving safely, which is nice because you can just keep doing you. So keep on using that broken phone charger because it occasionally works. Keep quoting something you heard on a podcast as your own. Keep ignoring your sister's texts while you drive and after. And when baggage claim says, have a great trip, keep on saying, you too. And keep driving safely. And you could save with Snapshot from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
Something amazing is happening. Despite a citywide blackout, this company is still up and running. That's because CDW deployed and managed a cost-effective Eaton Triplite Series Smart Pro UPS to safeguard equipment easily and reliably. Keep the power on and protect your IT equipment from electrical challenges. Triplite by Eaton and CDW. Make amazing happen. Find out more at cdw.com/triplite.
You don't have to sink a 30-footer from the end of your driveway to come out of the NBA playoffs smelling like a rose. SportsGrid brings you all the angles, insights, and odds. And more to make you a winner. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Right back at it, man. Best hour of your day. You know it is. Your boy DRS solo mission today. Having some fun talking the biggest topics, which again does include Major League Baseball. We're going to handicap every single game today. We are. Take a look at it. Had a decent week last week. Love to see it. Didn't get any home run props yesterday on the Major League Baseball show. It is what it is, but Saturday was great. Friday was really good, and we look forward to another good week here, plus money action as we get after it. Now, I told you guys on Friday, hey, man, where's this NBA game going on Friday night? I really liked Oklahoma City. And if you were just reading the line on Friday night, -6 points, it was like, you know what? I'm going to take that route. But I also told Kevin Walsh, who was here on Friday, as we were piping in, having some fun, like, I probably just have to say this. -230 price. I might just lay $100 down. whatever the winnings are, because I know Oklahoma City is going to win this game. But on the shows, I said take Oklahoma City -6. So I ended up, just taking the juice, but I didn't bet 230 to win 100. Just put 100 down, whatever the winning was, $40, something like that, $39, I believe it was, which that's crazy. But no, I just wanted to mark it because I told you guys I loved OKC in that game. I thought they had the right spot, and I even thought on the spread they were probably right. Through 3 quarters of that game, I was like, I was wrong here. Indiana looks like they're going to win the world championship. They're going to take home the Larry O'Brien trophy. Unbelievable run. And then you saw that fourth quarter, which had a vice grip defense, only allowing 17 points. OKC allowed to Indiana, and they walk away with that victory and get the cover and win by 7 points. That is miraculous, man. I feel bad. If you bet the Pacers with the points, not only should have won that game outright, the fact that you lost the side of it as well, that was incredible. But I also told you guys I like the under in that game, which was headed for an easy over, once again, until that vice grip defense for OKC really clamped in the fourth quarter. So ended up 2-0 in that game. But now we move forward, and we'll get to hockey in just a moment, too, is how it intertwines here in these finals, which I'm enjoying both of these immensely. Monday night, so there was 2 thought processes coming into this. Like, let's just say, and again, we talked to Brian Fonseca on the early line radio on the SportsGrid Network on Friday, like, what's the thought process behind this series? Like, if Indiana did win game number 4 and took a 3-1 series lead, even though how good Oklahoma City is, they're not coming back from 3-1 down, because that means you have to win 3 straight games against a team that's already beat you 3 out of the first 4. I don't think that's going to happen. And then we start to realize how good Indiana actually is at that point when they had a 3-1 lead. They don't, but I'm just playing into this. Where we thought that the game tonight on Monday, let's just say the Pacers were up 3-1, OKC would absolutely torch the Indiana Pacers. And I was in acceptance with that. 15 points, 20 points, 25-point win, absolute smash job before the Pacers then say, okay, well, we're going to wrap this thing up in game number 6 on our home court, and away we go. Now understand this. That game went just the way I thought. OKC won. So does that change things for you now? Where it's like, okay, well, if OKC lost, you thought Oklahoma City would blow the doors off the Indiana Pacers in game number 5. What happens now, Donnie? The simple fact that OKC did win that game. And yes, my thoughts have changed here. Like, I really like the Pacers tonight, guys. Getting 9.5. Like, I understand. Like, the Pacers had it all in front of them there. A 3-1 series lead. It's like, this is going to be ours. We're going to win this for the state of Indiana. We're finally going to get a championship back here, not an ABA championship. And then it all went up in flames in a terrible fourth quarter, which, again, I benefited from. I told you. I liked OKC. I bet OKC. I thought the game would stay under, and it did. The total tonight, 224. I don't have a real good feel in that game. A couple guys we had on the show today thinking overs. But for me, I'll stay away from that. But I do like the Pacers 9.5. Points props. We took a look at Halliburton this morning, 16.5 points. It's right in that general range where you figure he will be. SGA no longer the 32.5, 33.5. He's up to 34.5 after hitting the high 30s in game number 4 and really carrying OKC. I can see a big night out of SGA, to be honest with you. But if I'm just looking at a side tonight, it is the Pacers for me at 9.5. If we take a look at the opening number on this game, it was 9.5. It still sits at 9.5. Every book I'm looking at here in New Jersey, FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, Bet365, and even out in Vegas at the Westgate, all still sitting at 9.5. That total, which opened up at 223, now sits at 224.5 at FanDuel, 225 at some outlets here. That's pretty much as high as you get to. If we look on the FanDuel Sportsbook right now, just some of the betting statistics here, which does make me sometimes a little bit leery. The percentage of bets against the spread, 71%, they're betting the Indiana Pacers, which does make me scared a little bit there. Percentage of the money, 61% on Indy. So you have more spread bets and more money on Indy. But again, 71% of those bets only opposed to 61% of the money. You'd actually have to see that money number just be a little bit higher. But the line isn't moving at all, which, again, would lead you to believe that is a true Thunder line. Now, just reading lines doesn't always win, as I told you. Friday night, I was just reading the lines and liked OKC. It ended up winning. Should it have? Well, it did, and that's all that matters. But in this game, I wanted to like the Thunder in this game. I said, you know what? Probably be a blow-up. But again, if the Thunder had lost game number 4, they didn't. So I do like the Pacers. I'm looking at the chat box out here right now. AOD checks in. How are you doing out there in these streets? Love to see it. But also for the people listening, like, where are you going tonight? Is it the Indiana Pacers? Is it the Thunder? Because, and again, my stance has never really changed unless, as I said, we got that 3-1 series lead. As long as the series was close either way, I always thought OKC was going to win this series. And if we are taking a look now at the series prices, it's heavy, man. It's heavy. And that's toward OKC. Like, we're not 3-1 OKC with a chance to close out tonight. We're 2-2 OKC. And quite frankly, the Indiana Pacers have been spectacular in this series. Is anybody watching the series going, man, Indy can't hang with this OKC team? Like, no, that's not what's happening right now. You're getting a great performance and a willing performance out of the Pacers that's been there throughout the entire playoffs. You look at them going up against the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't know if they can win that game. No, they were the better team. You looked at them going up against a slightly injured Cleveland Cavaliers team and wipe them off the court. And then handle their business against an average to above average Knicks team that was actually the favorite in the Eastern Conference Finals over them. Then we doubted them heading into the finals, and they were sitting with a 2-1 series lead with a chance to go up 3-1 and weren't able to get the door closed. That doesn't mean the Pacers are bad. Donnie. They couldn't get it done. They couldn't do it. So that buy-in point now for the Indiana Pacers at plus 400 is pretty intriguing. I like them tonight. Do I like them to win? No. I mean, they're getting double digits at this point. Do I think they can hang around? Yes. They've been hanging around all series long, which includes winning 2 out of the 4 games already and also winning one of those games on Oklahoma City's home court. Can they do the same? I'm not even asking them to do the same. I'm just asking the Indiana Pacers to hang around and give me a legitimate chance to win this game in the fourth quarter, which they should have done last game and let that slip away. So for me, going from really wanting OKC in game number 5, I like the Pacers tonight. I like the 9.5. I like where it's going. We're going to talk NHL as well, setting up the remaining parts of that series. But more importantly, Major League Baseball will be on the docket. 7 games today. Let's find that money. I'll be right back.
Stamping out the boredom in baseball year after year. We bring you all the angles, insights, and information you need. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1975, the Milwaukee Bucks traded Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Walt Wesley to the LA Lakers for 4 players. Jabbar went on to win 5 NBA championships in LA.
3 in 6 years, LA comes to Boston and wins the world title. They finally snapped the jinx, and the Lakers won it exactly where they wanted to win this world title.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
New University of Geneva research suggests AI better at understanding human emotional intelligence than most humans.
Is this Tech Minute about something serious, or are you just really, really good at pretending?
No, 6 generative AIs actually tested 30% better than humans on standard emotional intelligence tests.
If nothing else, I'm really good at creative guessing.
Even wilder, AI generated new emotional intelligence tests from originals as useful as the ones humans took years to develop.
It's like a party where I know everyone but don't remember their name.
Meaning AI might replace human psychologists, but only when supervised by humans. For now, anyway.
My deepest fear, knowing the answer 5 minutes before I'm asked.
Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to The Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast.
The over's hit in every game. I've hit all 3 money lines, all 3 totals. I was on the Panthers in game 2 to even it up at once. I took them in game 3, and now I'm going back to the oil can in game 4. It's do or die tonight. They either win or, I'm telling you, you know as well as I do, they're finished.
It's Pharrell, Coast to Coast with Scott Pharrell. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. On the home of the winning edge. The SportsGrid Radio Network. In baseball, a batter gets 3 strikes. In sports gaming,
you get 1.
No do-overs. You need all the help you can get. And that's what you get with us, your trusted source for gaming odds and more. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Bang, bang. NBA Game 5 for the finals tonight. I'm taking the 9.5. I'm taking them out there. My guy X-Man just checks into the chat box. What's good, man? What's good? Shout out to Virginia. Of course it is. Shout out to Virginia. One day we might be able to get back on the airwaves here with some phone calls and start to take the good people's, voices and carry them nationally and have a good time. But right now we can't do it. The best way to get a hold of us is in the chat box when the shows are live on the radio. It's easy to do. You type in, it's 3 words, SportsGrid on demand. When you go to YouTube, you find the live stream here, you click the button, you come in, you say hello, you can watch the show live. I'm on camera, I'm sitting here. Post Father's Day, trying to pick out some winners, and that's the way you get that done here. Now, Edmonton Oilers, Florida Panthers. I'm not a big hockey guy. I'm not. You got to be kidding me, man. Was that free money on Saturday night, or was that free money? And I don't bet a lot on hockey. And quite frankly, dollar amounts and also frequency of betting hockey, not for me. I had to get involved on Saturday night, and I did. Light line at -110 both ways this was on 365, between the Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. And I said, this is simple to me. I was shocked that Edmonton won that game number 4. I really was. Pivotal game, pivotal. My goodness, man. That word I struggle with. Pivotal game number 5. How about that? I'm going to erase that word from my chemistry here. But anyway, you go back to game 5, and it's like, all right. Edmonton does have the stronghold here. They're at home. They win this game, they're probably going to win the Stanley Cup, and same thing for the Florida Panthers. That's usually what happens in a game number 5. I loved Florida in that game. All you had to give me was a little bit of goalie controversy, and that was my crack in the door. Because the Florida Panthers, for me, are the better overall team. The better overall high-end players, that's for Edmonton. They're both really good teams. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the Stanley Cup final. But for me, I said, you know what? Picard is just a random goalie in the NHL. Yes, he came in for Skinner and played well and gave them a chance at a victory, and they ended up coming back and won that game, which should have been devastating for Florida. But that's a team that has a championship pedigree, 3rd straight time in the Stanley Cup final. I said, who am I trusting more in a game number 5? Picard or Bobrovsky? I don't have any questions like Bobrovsky's probably going to bring it in that next game, and he did. What I didn't expect, which was beautiful, is on Bet365, when you bet the money line in hockey, you get up 3 goals, you automatically win. Now, I loved it, man. Saw the first 2 goals come through, then the third one come through, that little buzz to my phone that let me know I got paid out on a bet for the Florida Panthers. Love to see that. But they were the better team by far on Saturday night, which sets up an interesting game number 6, which has that same feeling for me that I had in game number 4. Like, oh, my goodness. Florida waxed Edmonton in game number 3. So now in game number 4, they're probably just going to roll them over, and Edmonton's going to be like, okay, we're down 3-0 in game number 4. Let's just head back to game number 5 and try to, circle the fort and get back at things. They came all the way back and won game number 4, but I love the Panthers. I loved them in game number 5. Now you take a look in game number 6, which again isn't tonight, but I did want to bring it up because of the hot topic from over the weekend. The Florida Panthers at a -146 price here at FanDuel. Let's see if that's the best price in the marketplace right now as the favorite. 148 at DraftKings, 150 at MGM, 150 at 365. Vegas here at the Westgate, -140. So theoretically, that's the best price. And quite frankly, I was talking to Joe Ranieri. Got to be honest. Price looks cheap to me. It does. It does. AUD says Oilers tonight. Yeah, maybe they win tonight when they don't play anybody. But tomorrow, that's a different suspicion here. Vic Ferrari says, my 4-2 Florida exacta is in play. Yeah, it is. That's the spot you want to be. Up 3-2 in your own building. Wouldn't that have been a shame? Like, Vic, you bet 4-2, Florida wins it, and they win 4-1. Like, what? Get out of here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's where you get upset. Like, boy, it's a better price, but never in a million years did I think that would happen. And now it is going to happen. But Florida, I do think, again, you can say, like, the winner of game number 5 is going to win the series, which I do. You can say the same thing about game number 6. Why? Because if the Florida Panthers win that game, they win the Stanley Cup. If Edmonton wins that game, they go home and are probably a slight favorite in game number 7. But even if I had to choose, like, hey, Donnie, what even happens if Edmonton pulls out that victory in Florida? I probably still feel Florida in game number 7. I do. But to be honest, like, for me, like, rooting interest here, it's always been Edmonton. I just like the way they play hockey. It's a fun brand of style. Connor McDavid is fantastic. Leon Draisaitl is the best name in hockey, and he's been spectacular. But how about Brad Marchand? This guy, right? Gets traded from Boston. Hey, man, be that veteran presence. How about a second liner or a third liner here? Dude is scoring left and right in the biggest moments in the Stanley Cup final. We take at the Conn Smythe Trophy, which, again, you have to remind yourself of this. The NBA Finals has an MVP, which means how well do you play in the NBA Finals? The Conn Smythe Trophy is the best player in the playoffs. And Sam Bennett right now leads the goals. I think he has 15 goals in the playoffs. He's over Brad Marchand, who's at plus 440 price. Draisaitl, McDavid right behind him. I don't know if this gets back to Canada for a game number 7, but you know what I do know? Major League Baseball handicap start next.
The NBA playoffs. It all comes down to this. And we'll give you all the angles to make sure you win a little something something. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. NBA Finals Game 5 tonight in Oklahoma City. Thunder and Pacers. The series knotted up at 2-2. Oklahoma City evened things up with a 111-104 win in Game 4 at Indianapolis on Friday. After tonight's game, the series heads back to Indianapolis on Thursday night, and if necessary, Game 7 would be next Sunday at Oklahoma City. Stanley Cup Finals, the Panthers are one win away from repeating as champions. Game 6 is Tuesday night in Florida. Brad Marchand had a pair of goals in a 5-2 win at Edmonton on Saturday. College World Series, number 13 Coastal Carolina has advanced to the semifinals. They'll take on the winner of Tuesday's Louisville-Oregon State matchup. Elimination game today between Murray State and Arkansas. The winner advances to face the winner of tonight's number 15 UCLA, number 6 LSU matchup. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies the same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at Lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
Progressive knows you've got enough to worry about in life.
Hi, it's your life again. Feel like another year is just slipping away? Yeah, remember all those New Year's resolutions you made? You still haven't finished the first book. Just 19 more to go. I mean, if we're being honest, it wasn't a very realistic goal. Have you ever considered that you intentionally self-sabotage? So what's that about?
So let Progressive protect your home and auto, because you've got enough to worry about. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Let's keep it real. Baseball can be boring. That's where SportsGrid comes in. Nothing livens up those 9 innings like sports gaming. You might experience something you've never felt in a baseball game, a quickened pulse. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Bounce with me. Yes, sir. We talked about a lot of topics already. Rafael Devers trade gets moved on here. And we talked about some Stanley Cup action. We talked about the NBA game number 5 tonight, fly from OKC, which I'm taking the 9.5 points tonight with the Indiana Pacers. But we do have a Major League Baseball slate here, 7 games on the docket today as we line those up. And on my odds board, officially changing about an hour ago, it was announced that Shohei Ohtani is going to be the starting pitcher of record tonight for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He'll be the opener. We don't expect him to go too long in this game, probably 1 inning, but it is as of note because Bob Nightingale, who yesterday we were on Pro Baseball Today, what did he say? Shohei ain't going to pitch till at least after the All-Star game. Only to find out less than 24 hours later, Shohei Ohtani is going to pitch on Monday night against the San Diego Padres. Ain't that something out here? It really is. Shoo! Ohtani's back. 600-plus days he hasn't pitched on the mound. He's back on the mound, people. Ready to go. Is it going to be effective? Is he going to pitch well? Is it going to affect his plate appearances, which I believe I went 3 for 3 last night, 3 base knocks. And if you did, anybody out there, by the way, bet the Bet365 boost last night, it was Shohei Ohtani for 1 base hit and to score 1 run. Boy, when that phone buzzes after first pitch and you already won that bet, it was a plus 150 price. So $50, the profit off that was 75. That was awesome. Like right off the bat, love that. I did lose, however, a profit boost on Saturday night with Lionel Messi to at least get a goal and or an assist in that game. I don't even know who scored, to be honest. I don't know. I don't even know who won that game. Was it Miami and Messi, or I couldn't even pronounce the other team's name at that point. But I do know one thing. I didn't win any money on that game, losing that bet. But it is the way it is. You take those odds boosts there and you live with them. You die with them sometimes here. But Major League Baseball today, we'll get to that Ohtani San Diego game in just a moment. But I just want to go right down the list for us here. Mick Abel, pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies, 2 really good starts to start his young Major League Baseball career. Roughed up a little bit in his last outing, taking on Sandy Alcantara of the Miami Marlins. 951, 952 on the rotation. 640 start tonight. Opened up overnight at FanDuel, at least, around a minus 125 price point here for the Phillies as a favorite. That's backtracked a little bit. We're roughly at a de facto pick'em here at just about every outlet. The 8.5 number that opened last night, still sitting at 8.5 across the board. If we take a look at the last 30-day splits here on these two pitchers, Mick Abel who's got 15 and a third innings pitched over those 3 starts, which, again, he's not a long man just yet, still a young pitcher. Good ERA still, even after getting roughed up, as I said, a little bit in game number 3 that he pitched. That's a 2.35 ERA and a 3.53 xFIP number. Sandy Alcantara, however, through 5 starts over the past month, 26 and a third innings pitched, 5.81 ERA, and an xFIP number of 4.53. Now, let me bring up here through Fangraphs, and we will type in Alcantara. Come on, man, spell it right, Dave. There we go. Let me see. I just want to see his game log here because it is quite interesting to me. You take a look at through the points of the season, he was a really, really bad pitcher. Now, let's focus here. His last bad start was against the San Diego Padres on the road. 4 innings pitched, 7 hits, 6 earned runs in that game. Didn't give up a home run, but how about that? Sandy Alcantara? No strikeouts, man? That's not what we're used to at that point. But the last 2 starts have been better. Has he found something? But also understand this. He pitched at home against Colorado, which I don't care. Colorado put up a ton of runs yesterday against the bullpen of the Braves. Remove that from your mind. 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs he gave up in that game. But that's Colorado, and that's at home in a good pitcher's ballpark, which he is in tonight. Last start at the Pittsburgh Pirates. Very good pitching ballpark here, and also it's the Pirates, a bad offense. He went 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs in that game, and 6 strikeouts. He was very good. His xFIP number in that game, 3.26. The xFIP number in the previous game, 2.96. He's been on his P's and Q's. So maybe he is rounding in the form. The one thing I do know about the Philadelphia Phillies, though, is they're rounding in the form at the plate. A lot of base hits over the past couple games. Not a ton of power, but still 11 runs on 18 hits, which included a grand slam from Nick Castellanos. There is something to that here. Nick Gable's still a young pitcher, but also a young pitcher going against a team that's not very good in the Miami Marlins. And also, more importantly, that is an environment that's very friendly to pitchers. So if I look at the estimated starting lineups tonight and say, well, is there any way that you can possibly go? I don't know if I want to fade Mick Gable because, again, you still have to have a really good lineup on the other side to be comfortable with. Xavier Edwards, through 36 at-bats, got a high weighted on-base percentage against righties. Jesus Sanchez, high ISO, high weighted on-base percentage against righties. Otto Lopez, high ISO, high weighted on-base percentage going up against righties. So Jesus Sanchez as a lefty, I should have said. Ramirez, Stowers, Wagaman, Norby, Myers, all low numbers, weighted on base percentages, and certainly ISO power numbers. The one guy in the middle of that is Liam Hicks. Did catch an RBI prop with Liam Hicks the other day, though, so don't mind him. There are a couple good batters, but do you trust them? So, okay, they're at home, and Mick Abel's on the mound. We'll see what happens. But on the other side, it's Sandy Alcantara, who has struggled at times this year. On the season against lefties, he struggled. A 191 ISO power number and a weighted on base percentage of 364. But if we just focus on the past 30 days, he's not really a strikeout guy. But his last start, he did have 6 strikeouts. His last 12 innings, he has 10 total strikeouts, which isn't too bad. But on the season, he strikes out 15% of left-handed batters. Last 30 days, it's only 12% of batters. That lineup for the Phillies, Turner, Schwarber, Bohm, Castellanos, and Kepler, all really good weighted on base percentages there going up against right-handed pitching over the past month in the Major League Baseball season. Realmuto, Stott, Kemp, and Marsh, not so great numbers. But by the way, Otto Kemp has his batting average up around, I think, like a 350 after a 4-hit day yesterday. 4 singles out of 5 plate appearances. You'll take that here. But it's not one of those games that really sticks out because sometimes you are waiting for Alcantara to come back and just be that dominant pitcher. Or did you say he's not going to get that together? Because also keep in mind, he is pitching at home. And let's just say, to start the season at home, 4 2/3 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. Start number 2 at home against the Mets, 5 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. Start number 3 of the season against Washington at home, 5 2/3 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, which wasn't good. Cincinnati at home, he pitched against 6 innings and 3 earned runs. The Dodgers at home, 5 innings pitched, 5 earned runs, which was terrible. Tampa Bay at home, 5 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, which is bad. And then the Colorado start. So it's not as if you're looking at the season saying, well, Donnie, like Colorado pitchers, right? They only get lit up at home, but they pitch really well on the road. That's not really the case here at this point. But for me and my money, probably going to stay away from this game. Game number 2 on the card, though, I don't know if we're going to stay away from here. You know why? That's Colorado and Washington. That's Palmquist, the lefty, will be on the mound for the Rockies, going up against Jake Irvin, the right-handed pitcher for the Nationals. 953, 954, 645 start. This is a heavy favorite here. 178s, 175s, 180s across the board for Washington over Colorado. Colorado does stink, but also Washington stinks as well. Total in this game is listed at 9. If you look at the temperatures here, 72 degrees at first pitch and a light wind blowing in from right field. Cloudy environment, not really worried about the rain. That's what you have to like here. One thing you also have to like, too, is Palmquist is a terrible pitcher. 4 starts over 18 innings for the past 30 days, a 7 ERA, and a 6.20 xFIP number. And you say, all right, let's start the meat right here. Let's get it going. This sounds like a nice steak dinner that we're about to have. However, Carson Palmquist's numbers, as I just told you, are terrible. His last 30 days, let's forget his last 30 days. He only had 108 batters in the season, right? So roughly it is like the last 30 days. A 264 ISO against and a weighted on base percentage of 409. A ground ball percentage of only 29%, which means the ball's in the air. A K rate on the season of only 15%. Those are disastrous numbers. But hear me out on this. Alex Call has great numbers against lefties over the past month. C.J. Abrams, not so much. Ahmad Rosario, yes. James Wood, nope. Josh Bell, nope. Andres Chaparro, nope. Keibert Ruiz, nope. James Young, nope. Even though those two guys, Ruiz and also Young, have decent weighted on base percentages. So this is one of those things where you take those leap of faith, right, guys? You say to yourself, well, Palmquist is really bad. What's the worst case scenario? Like Washington should touch him up. And technically, like I do believe in that. If we go to the other side with Colorado knocking out the box yesterday against Atlanta late in that game, Jake Irving's on the mound. It's not a great pitcher either. 4.60 ERA, 4.50 xFIP number. Is this an ugly game that could get to an ugly over? Or save your money. Better stuff on the horizon. Sport DRS. I'll be right back.
By the end, you might not have a ring on your finger. Stay tuned and you'll have a little something in your pocket. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
College World Series, number 13 Coastal Carolina has advanced to the semifinals. They'll take on the winner of Tuesday's Louisville-Oregon State matchup. Elimination game today between Murray State and Arkansas. The winner advances to face the winner of tonight's number 15 UCLA, number 6 LSU matchup. NBA Finals, Game 5 tonight in Oklahoma City. Thunder and Pacers, the series knotted up at 2-2. Oklahoma City even things up with a 111-104 win in Game 4 at Indianapolis on Friday. After tonight's game, the series heads back to Indianapolis on Thursday night, and if necessary, Game 7 would be next Sunday at Oklahoma City. Stanley Cup Finals, the Panthers are 1 win away from repeating as champions. Game 6 is Tuesday night in Florida. Brad Marchand had a pair of goals in a 5-2 win at Edmonton on Saturday. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins.
Join the millions of people who are celebrating going hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins. Footwear you just step into and they're on.
It's crazy how something as simple as a pair of shoes have made my life better.
After trying Skechers Slip-ins, I want all my shoes to have this technology.
See what everybody can't stop talking about. Go hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Something amazing is happening. Despite a citywide blackout, this company is still up and running. That's because CDW deployed and managed a cost-effective Eaton Triplite Series Smart Pro UPS to safeguard equipment easily and reliably. Keep the power on and protect your IT equipment from electrical challenges. Triplite by Eaton and CDW. Make amazing happen. Find out more at cdw.com/triplite.
Ah, springtime. When a young man's fancy turns to... Get your mind out of the gutter. For sports gaming strategies and information that gives you an unfair advantage, you'll find it all right here. It's the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
By the way, you got fired up here. Joey Chestnut returning to Nathan's hot dog eating contest here, July the 4th. How about that? Back in it, baby. The Glizzy eating showdown. Maybe Kobayashi gets back in it as well. You don't know. Joey Chestnut back in it. Should be able to get that. By the way, I get angry every year at this contest because it takes like 10 minutes, but they have like a 2-hour build-up. Enough with that. Put it on TV, 12 o'clock, have them eat the hot dogs for 10 minutes and get it out of my life. I can enjoy that. I don't want a 2-hour build up on how good a certain eater is and these other meaningless eaters here that come from tough backgrounds who had to eat their way into the final. Stop it. But the 16-time champion who missed last year's event due to a dispute with Major League Eating over his sponsorship deal with Impossible Foods, a company that makes plant-based hot dogs. Yeah, come on, man. You can't be eating plant-based hot dogs, Joey Chestnut. Get back in there. By the way, did you guys know I interviewed Joey Chestnut a couple years ago before his one of his many triumphs in the eating world? We talked about how many Big Mac sandwiches that he ate on one of these things and what it takes to get ready for certain tournaments and stuff. Still wild that these guys can eat that much food. I just would be in pain for the next absolute entire week. But talking about pain, Colorado Rockies and the Washington Nationals. Is this sneaky here for the Nationals to get beat here by Colorado in this game as almost 2-1 favorites here? 72 degrees at first pitch. Jake Irvin, I told you, not a great pitcher. He's a righty. Really struggles against lefties, but here's the problem. Ryan McMahon's a lefty. He hasn't had a great track record for the past month against right-handed pitchers. But Mickey Moniak stands out. 45 at-bats against right-handed pitching over the past month, a 302 ISO and a weighted on-base percentage of 364. Can Beck, can Freeman, can Goodman do any damage today? It's a tough one overall. It really is. But maybe once we see the final rosters come out for the starting lineups later, we'll be able to eat on that. Next game up, Los Angeles Angels against the slumping New York Yankees and Aaron Judge. Jose Soriano going to be on the mound today, and Jose Soriano is checking in here at, a 4.61 ERA, not great, 3.86 xFIP, which is better. That's over his last 27 and a third innings pitched. Jose Soriano's got a low strikeout rate, which usually gets you in trouble, but in New York today, again, I thought we were already through this. Like, we should be having warmer weather every day. 67 degrees, which isn't terrible, but for mid-June, it should be warmer than that, with a light wind blowing in from center field. Good numbers against right-handed pitchers over the past month. That's Judge, that's Bellinger, that's Chisholm, that's Volpe, and that's DJ LeMahieu here. But if we are looking at power numbers against Soriano, doesn't give up a lot of power shots, guys. 343 batters he's faced on the season, and 0.67 ISO number against. So the power numbers just aren't there. He does walk too many people and doesn't strike a lot of people out, which is why that xFIP number sometimes can get you in trouble, but he hasn't been that bad. Take a look at the Los Angeles Angels here. Clark Schmidt is on the mound. He's got 28 and a third innings pitched, guys, over the past 5 starts over the past 30 days. That's a 2.54 ERA and an xFIP of 3.46. Neto, Chanuel, Trout, Ward, Adele, all good numbers. But again, last 30 days against Clark Schmidt as righties, an 0.41 ISO number. Lefties, a 113 ISO power number against. Low weighted on base percentages and some really good K rates. We're not really jumping into a lot of stuff that's absolutely glorious, like stuff we can bend the rules on, but not anything that's actually absolutely a clear path here. Let's take a look at the Tampa Bay Rays and the Baltimore Orioles here set to do battle, and that is tonight at 7:35 from down in Tampa. And those temperatures down there, 87 degrees at first pitch. Light wind blowing out. Boy, we love Steinbrenner Field down there in Tampa. So much better than handicapping and breaking down games at the Trop. Eflin versus Pepio. This side, again, roughly a pick'em. Total in this game opened up at 9, now sits at 8.5 at just about every outlet here. Zach Eflin, he sits at 4.80 as an ERA over the past month through 30 innings pitched, but a less xFIP at 3.82. We take a look on the opposite side. It's Ryan Pepio, 31 and a third innings pitched over the past month, a 2.30 ERA and a 3.66 xFIP number. So not terrible numbers for either one of these pitchers at this point. Let's take a look at how the batters line up today. Going up against Zach Eflin over the last 30 days and the season, to be honest with you, has struggled with lefties. So if we're going to get 85-degree temperatures and a wind blowing out to really right center field, that helps. Brandon Lau in that lineup again. I thought he might be able to hit a home run yesterday. Didn't do that. 301 ISO, 464 weighted on base percentage. Jonathan Aranda, 354 weighted on base percentage here. Jake Mangum, 355 weighted on base percentage. So not bad there. I would look lefties in the lineup for Tampa Bay today if we're looking. But if you're looking at right, just a chunk of that lineup. Lau, Diaz, Aranda, Caminero, and Mangum, all with really good weighted on base percentages in the middle of that lineup. However, only 2 of those are lefties. So Aranda and Lau are the 2 guys that I certainly would give the edge to here. Baltimore side of things going up against Ryan Pepio, who has really been a fly ball pitcher and a hard contact pitcher, which usually gets you in trouble. I just told you, he's not that bad overall, ERA-wise, 2.30, 3.66, slightly higher xFIP number, but you want to dig into that. However, hear me out on this. You take a look at Baltimore waking up at the plate against right-handed pitchers. This could be one of those days here. Jackson Holliday, good numbers against right-handed pitching over the past month. Gunnar Henderson, a high-weighted on-base percentage. O'Hearn, very good numbers. Westbrook, very good numbers. Westberg, excuse me. Colton Cowser, good numbers. Ramon Laureano, good numbers. So you got 6 guys with a high-weighted on-base percentage out of 9. K rates, they do K a bit. But also looking at just some home run projections at 1.65. So you got a really, really good temperature and really good atmosphere. But there might be a chance here for the Baltimore Orioles for us to sneak in some action. And the same way with Tampa Bay, as I told you. Brandon Lau and Junior Caminero, they seem like legitimate options here. Let's head out to the West Coast here. 9:40 start. We got 3 games late night tonight. 9:40, 10:05, and 10:10. If we start with the Boston game, Lucas Giolito, 5 starts over the past month, 23 and a third innings pitched. How about a 5.40 ERA and a 4.63 xFIP number? But again, that lineup isn't looking as good as it was for the Mariners just a few short weeks ago. 71 degrees, which is really good for the Pacific Northwest. But outside of Cal Raleigh and maybe Dominic Canzoni, nothing really good on there. But Lucas Giolito should get hit tonight. You saw that what Seattle played 6 runs last night. Maybe they can do the same thing today. Logan Gilbert, though, returning back to the mound, one of the better young pitchers in that organization. We're expecting good things. And also, no Rafael Devers here for the Boston Red Sox in this game or moving forward because he's in San Francisco. It's interesting. It's almost like you want to trust Seattle to win this game and trust Seattle to knock around Lucas Giolito. But it is not a hitter's ballpark. 2 more games to hit. Houston and the Athletics, and also San Diego and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Come on back. Let's shut it down right here on Moneyline next.
School girlfriend told you, you are a winner. Or at least you will be if you keep it here. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime. On the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
For anyone who's worried about back taxes, has not filed tax returns, and doesn't know what to do next, stop and listen. Not filing your taxes can have severe consequences, especially in this political climate. Now that COVID is over, the IRS is getting aggressive, massively increasing enforcement and collection efforts. With politicians making all sorts of promises, especially when it comes to taxes, hiding and not dealing with your taxes will cause you harsh legal and financial ramifications. But right now, the IRS offers forgiveness and writes off a massive amount of tax debt. The Tax Doctor offers a free service that helps people get out of IRS collections and back in good standing with the government. Don't hide or bury your head in the sand. Take advantage of our free service. Call now to learn more. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. That's 800-816-4492.
Sports Rage tonight.
How the hell do you pay all those rights for the Champions League and not put it on CBS and you put it on CBS Sports Network?
It's brutal.
It's the Champions League, guys. It's like if I'm running CBS, I'm like, hey, dumbasses, we're going to get like 6 million viewers if we put this on TV. Put it on FTV.
It's Sports Rage Tonight with Gabe Morency. Weekdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. If you want to be an alpha, you've got to get the winning edge. It's kind of a necessary ingredient if you want to lead the pack. So mark your territory with the winning edge. You're in the big leagues. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Lance McCullers on the mound tonight. How about that out on the West Coast? McCullers versus Sears. This line's about a minus 160 price, give or take, here for the Houston Astros on the road, playing much better baseball as of late. Now, how about the Athletics? On the road, knocking off Kansas City, now returning, I guess, home, if you could call it, to San Francisco. Excuse me. Let me see that. San Francisco. Don't even know where they play at. Sacramento. 10:05 start tonight. Now, total, no surprise. Open up at 10.5. There is still a 10.5 out there at FanDuel, but everybody else has moved really to 10s, but still double digits. But how about Lance McCullers Jr.? 21 1/3 innings pitched over the past month. He's got a 3.8 ERA, which isn't great, but his xFIP number is sparkling at 2.81. Can he hold down that lineup? Going up against JP Sears, who today, over the last 30 days on the starting card, the highest ERA at 8.75 and a pretty high xFIP number at 4.58. So can damage be done? I didn't take a look at this game yet from a batting perspective, but let's do that right now. Let's start with Houston. As I told you, JP Sears is bad. He's a lefty, struggles against lefties, but really struggles against righties. So you figure tonight, you're going to get 9 batters in the lineup for the Houston Astros from the right-hand side, and you will. Pena, good numbers against lefties. Diaz, good numbers against lefties. Altuve, good numbers against lefties. Same thing with Brendan Rodgers. But keep in mind, everything with a grain of salt. There's not a batter in the lineup today that has more than 11 at-bats over the past 30 days against left-handed pitching. See how that makes it tough sometimes? But granted, if I just told you JP Sears can't get right-handed batters out, you're going to be in temperatures that are probably going to be warmer out there always for the Athletics in Sacramento, and everybody's going to be a righty that should be able to damage this guy. Sometimes you just take that leap and say, this game might make some sense to back. Now, if we are looking at Lance McCullers, the much better pitcher, so you look at that price point and say, like, well, why is it not even higher? Well, understand this. The A's do have some pretty good numbers against right-handed pitching over the past month. If Lance McCullers has any struggles on the season, it has been with right-handed pitching, or right-handed hitting, I should say. A 237 ISO through 71 batters faced from the right side, and a weighted on-base percentage of 417. Look at the middle of this lineup, 1 through 6. Butler, Wilson, Rooker, Soderstrom, Muncy, and Kurtz. The weighted on-base percentages between those guys, all high. ISO power numbers, all high there. So that's something to build on. Let me just take a look here quickly at Lance McCullers' game log here. So I just want to see where he's coming into the flow because his numbers do stand out. But I know he got roughed up a bit, but I think he's rounding back into form here. So his game log, let's see. All right. 3 starts ago, 6 innings pitched, 3 earned runs. 2 starts ago, 6 innings pitched, no earned runs, but gave up 2 runs total. No runs, just 2 hits. Fantastic start. Against the Chicago White Sox, 5 innings pitched and 4 earned runs. So here's the issue, right? You take a look at the last, actually, let's go back 4 games. Because Seattle, again, not a great hitting lineup. 4 1/3 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. That's okay. The Athletics, who he's going to face tonight, so they got to look at him about 2.5 weeks ago. 6 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, which is a quality start. Then he had a really good start against Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh. And then Chicago White Sox, who don't have a great lineup, 5 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, including a home run and 4 walks. Like he was all over the place in that game. xFIP number in that game, 5.09. So I got a feeling you look at this because that number dropped from 10.5 to 10. I think, can the A's, who won me some money 2 games ago, scored 4 runs. Thank you, A's. Just needed 3.5, got me to the 4. Fantastic. Can they come through tonight? Because the batters do look good. Same thing with Houston. You know what? I think this game can get to 10, but 10 is still a tough number. Let's see where the settles in later, but there are some opportunities there in this game, don't get me wrong. Late night game, as we talked about, San Diego and Los Angeles. That's Shohei Ohtani, people. Shohei Ohtani back on the mound as an opener tonight. So a bullpen game de facto for the Padres. Now, hear me out on this. Dylan Cease is the best xFIP on the card today. His last 30 days, 2.78. ERA, 3.77. We just take a look at that game log here for Cease, starting to round in the pitcher that he was supposed to be when he came to San Diego. His game log versus the Dodgers, who actually faced last time out. See, this is interesting. Look what he did to the Dodgers last time out. This was on the 10th, so just a week ago. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, 11 strikeouts. But he did have 5 walks in that game, which is going to keep that xFIP number a little bit higher than it should be. Game previous before that, quality start, 5 innings pitched, 3 earned runs. But his whole, did he bounce back? Because every game he gives up multiple runs, except for that last one against the Dodgers. Now, we always know we look at that Dodgers lineup, I don't really want to fade that. But Cease was really good at them last time. How about 78-degree temperatures at first pitch tonight in Los Angeles? But again, the question is going to be, Ohtani is on the mound tonight to open up, and then a bullpen after that. Against lefties, the Padres haven't been all that good, but I'm not going to face lefties the whole way through. It's a tough lineup to bet for the Padres, even though they busted out yesterday with a win. Oh, a card. 7 games. Not a lot to love. If I have anything, you know where to find me. At RightSideVP on Twitter. For JP behind the wheels of steel, it's your boy Donnie Rightside. Let's watch this NBA game tonight. See you tomorrow.
actionable insights, analysis, odds, and expert perspective on sports gaming.
Brad Marchand had a pair of goals in a 5-2 win at Edmonton on Saturday. College World Series number 13 Coastal Carolina has advanced to the semifinals. They'll take on the winner of Tuesday's Louisville-Oregon State matchup. Elimination game today between Murray State and Arkansas. The winner advances to face the winner of tonight's number 15 UCLA, number 6 LSU matchup. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies the same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at Lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
Progressive knows you've got enough to worry about in life.
Hi, it's your life again. Feel like another year is just slipping away? Yeah, remember all those New Year's resolutions you made? You still haven't finished the first book. Just 19 more to go. I mean, if we're being honest, it wasn't a very realistic goal. Have you ever considered that you intentionally self-sabotage? So what's that about?
So let Progressive protect your home and auto, because you've got enough to worry about. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states.
If you want to be an alpha, you've got to get the winning edge. It's kind of a necessary ingredient if you want to lead the pack. So mark your territory with the winning edge. You're in the big leagues. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
Off and running in today's edition of Football Full Circle right here on the SportsGrid Radio Network. Sirius Channel 159, Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel talking all things NFL. Some news and notes around the league right now. The New Orleans Saints signed former Texans and Minnesota Vikings running back Cam Akers to a one-year deal. We'll see if Cam Akers can actually produce this year and benefit that inept New Orleans Saints offense with Kellen Moore at the helm in year number one. And then talks resume, Scott, in Cincinnati. Star defensive end Trey Hendrickson looking for a long-term deal. They're trying to get to the table and potentially sign Hendrickson for the next 2 or 3 seasons. But question for you, if they don't get this deal done and Hendrickson is on another team, we've talked about it throughout the offseason. How important is Hendrickson to the success of Cincinnati's 2025 season?
Oh, I think a lot. You know, listen, I love Joey B and Chase and all the T. Higgins, and I get all that, and I understand why you signed those guys. But, you know, ultimately, Joe, you got to win with a little bit of defense. You know, although it does go back to the old saying, I forget who it was. I'm dating myself here. I'm so old now. The COVID's kicking in, you know, where the team finished in last place in baseball. And he went to the owner and said, listen, I want to raise. And they said, well, we can finish in last place with you or we can finish in last place without you. So what's the difference? You know, hopefully the Bungles don't have that same approach, because we could have one of the worst defenses in the NFL last year with you, or we could have one of the worst defenses in the NFL this upcoming season without you. So here's the money. This is what we're willing to pay you. If I was him, because I understand why you may want to re-sign, because you think you want to win and you got a pretty good chance of winning. He's been to a Super Bowl. But, you know, if I'm 1 year away, I don't think they'll franchise him, because people tend to forget. If you franchise a guy, you got to put all that money in your cap that year. It's not like giving a guy a 5-year, pick a number contract that you could spread it out and figure out different ways, make it signing bonuses. No, you franchise a guy $30, $35 million, boom, that's a $35 million hit to your cap. So I don't know if they would really be able to franchise him after this upcoming season. So if I'm Hendrickson, you know what? I'll play one more year, have a decent year, and then get the heck out of Dodge, right? Let me go to a real football team. You know, a team that takes care of its players and thinks they can win and has the better facilities and all the other stuff that you hear about the Cincinnati Bengals that they don't have.
Yeah, now they're minus 160 to make the playoffs. They have a 9.5 win total. I'm in the camp, Scott, that if Hendrickson, let's say, does move on and he doesn't get signed long-term by the Cincinnati Bengals, I don't know if it'll affect them big picture. I understand he led the sack league with sacks with 17.5. He was a dominant edge rusher, but you're talking about one of the worst defenses in the league, especially in terms of just giving up total yards, total points per game. That defense was a complete sieve. And you go back a couple of years ago when they did square off against Matt Stafford in the Super Bowl, it was their defense that actually carried them at certain points throughout the AFC Championship run. So we'll see. Can they outscore teams, to your point, and still be an 8 or 9 win football team? Absolutely. But let me ask a deeper question. Assuming that Hendrickson isn't there, let's just say, and let's say this team is, I don't know, 8 and 9 overall and they miss out on the playoffs. Zach Taylor gone, or Zach Taylor's job security perfect in Cincinnati for the next 2 or 3 seasons?
Yeah, listen, as a Bungles support, I really like Joey B, so I kind of root for this team. I hope he's gone, Joe, even though I'm a Nebraska guy and that's where he's from. He's awful. He's been awful. We made fun of him over the years. He's just, so sometimes you got to take one step back to go 2 steps forwards. I would think this would be his last year if they didn't reach the postseason. Unless Joey B went into front office and said, no, I really love this guy. But even that might not even work. He's so over, man. You watch these Bengal games, he makes one blundering, dopey move after another. He's got that dumb look on his face as well. I need to get a real, man's man head coach in there that runs the sidelines. You get these young whippersnappers. He's a little bit older now, but listen, give him credit. They went to 1 Super Bowl, but it's been a disappointment, since. And so I wouldn't think he'd have much more than this year. When you talk about coaches being fired, which the first one to get whacked, I would put him high on the list. I think they're under immense lot of pressure. They gave out a lot of money this offseason, and if they do sign Hendrickson, it's even more money that they're going to be giving out. He's got to produce this year or else.
Well, I'll say this. They start slow again. That's on Zach Taylor and nobody else, right? We can't take the consistent slow starts in the month of September against teams that they should absolutely beat up, especially when you look at last year. With or without Hendrickson, no matter how bad the defense was, there's no reason to lose as a 7.5-point home favorite against basically, that team in terms of New England and Jacoby Brissett starting, right? With a first-year head coach to boot. So knowing that they started 0-3 last year, knowing that they gave the money to the star wideouts and Higgins and Jamar Chase, everything is there for this team to at least be a 4-2 start and at least get out of the gates quick. If they don't do that, this is all on Zach Taylor. And you can make the argument, Scott, you mentioned the Super Bowl run. That really saved his career and saved his tenure as a head coach, because prior to that, he was dead man walking. When Joe Burrow got hurt that first year, they fell off a cliff. Zach Taylor didn't coach the team up. It wasn't until Joe Burrow was 100% healthy that they started to really over-exceed expectations. So we'll see. A lot of pressure on this team. We talked about it. Minus 160 to make the playoffs. They have plus money to miss the playoffs. That falls on Zach Taylor. The other big story, or you could say that, comment that came out over the weekend was Dak Prescott saying that he wants to win a championship. Reports on ESPN saying that, his legacy does, really hinge on team success. Troy Aikman having the Super Bowls under his belt. He's 32 years old, Scott. Schottenheimer, a first-year head coach. We know that he could put up numbers, Dak Prescott, in the regular season. Can this team potentially surprise should they make the playoffs this year?
Surprise as far as making the playoffs, or surprise once they get into the playoffs and win a couple of games? Could they make the playoffs? Yeah, I mean, listen, the running game is still a lot to be desired, right? But, adding, the pieces they did on the outside, with Pickens, not that I'm a big Pickens fan, but I think they can make the playoffs. And that's where you talk about legacy, right? You don't throw that out with a lot of guys. You can throw it out there, though, with Prescott, because his regular season numbers are good. They're Hall of Fame. If he did this every single year, he'll make the Hall of Fame. He just will. Now, will his legacy be as a winner? No. And that's where the legacy question really does come into play. Ultimately, he's got to win at least 1 Super Bowl. And it really only takes his one, right? Brett Favre won. Aaron Rodgers won. There's a laundry list of quarterbacks who are perceived to be best quarterbacks of all time that only have 1 Super Bowl. So all it takes is 1 for Dak. And if he gets 1 Super Bowl, then he'll go down as one of the best quarterbacks and make the Hall of Fame and everything else. If he doesn't, then it'll be the perennial losers. So I think they can make the playoffs. I would be shocked, though, if they won a game, depending on who they play. They're not better than Detroit. They're not better than Green Bay. They're not better than the Rams to me. They're not better than Philadelphia. There's a lot of good teams in the NFC this year. So I don't think they're better than any of those teams.
They're a 20-1 shot, Scott, to win the NFC Championship, right? We know that they have one of the lower win totals in terms of the conference. And at the end of the day, you're right that if Dak Prescott and Dallas gets to the playoffs, I don't think it would be that much of a surprise. Might be a little bit of a surprise with Schottenheimer in terms of year number one, but it's actually making a run at an NFC Championship. When we're talking great quarterbacks or we're talking about elite, and Dak Prescott might put up regular season numbers. You look at the performances in terms of playoff games, the losses to San Francisco, the blowout loss to Jordan Love in Green Bay. Things need to change this year. So we'll see if they could do it with Schottenheimer in year number one. When Scott and I return, we'll talk about some other odds that are up now on FanDuel for both the AFC and NFC right here on Football Full Circle. Coming right back. Keep it where it is.
Four out of 5 scientists agree it's smarter to be on SportsGrid, and we're pretty sure that one scientist is still a virgin. He just gives that 5. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With your news flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Sky Rizzi. President Donald Trump celebrated the American military in remarks following a parade in Washington, D.C. commemorating the 250th anniversary of the armed services. In all, 84 military vehicles, including 28 Abrams tanks, 6,700 marching soldiers, and other military presentations rolled through the streets of Washington for the celebration, which also happened to fall on Trump's 79th birthday. Trump touted the military's might and offered a warning to America's enemies. Flash flooding caused by torrential rains killed 5 people in northern West Virginia, and rescue crews were searching for 3 other people who were missing Sunday as authorities assess damage to roads, bridges, natural gas lines, and other infrastructure. Officials say 2.5 to 4 inches of rain fell in parts of Wheeling and Ohio County within about a half hour on Saturday night. I'm Trey Westerberg with your news flash.
With Progressive Snapshot, you could save on auto insurance rates by driving safely, which is nice because you can just keep doing you. So keep on using that broken phone charger because it occasionally works. Keep quoting something you heard on a podcast as your own. Keep ignoring your sister's texts while you drive and after. And when baggage claim says, have a great trip, keep on saying, you too. And keep driving safely. And you could save with Snapshot from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
Something amazing is happening. Despite a citywide blackout, this company is still up and running. That's because CDW deployed and managed a cost-effective Eaton Triplite Series Smart Pro UPS to safeguard equipment easily and reliably. Keep the power on and protect your IT equipment from electrical challenges. Triplite by Eaton and CDW. Make amazing happen. Find out more at cdw.com/triplite.
There's something you should know and always remember. SportsGrid does not increase luck. We're your unfair advantage for the latest sports gaming information. If you're looking for luck, go find a horseshoe. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, back on Football Full Circle. We left off talking about the legacy of Dak Prescott. Is he a winner in the regular season? Absolutely. Can this team get it done in the playoffs is a different story. They do have new markets up, and Scott and I hit up on these last week in terms of putting up parlays, in terms of individual statistics. They now have like season-long stats and prop bets up on FanDuel. They have it for the rushing, receiving, and quarterbacks. So Dak Prescott, Scott, to have the most regular season passing yards in 2025 is a 13-1 shot. Joe Burrow, obviously the favorite at plus 550, followed by Mahomes at plus 950. Brock Purdy, we talked about this. I mean, books expecting a breakout out of the San Francisco 49ers offense. I don't see it, but he's right there with Dak Prescott and Baker Mayfield at 13-1. You buying into Dak potentially to lead the league in passing yards this year?
Yeah, he could, right? The defense stinks, so that you got to have, it takes two to tango. You got to go into a game thinking you need to score 30 points, unlike teams who's got a really good defense and they can, be sitting on the ball and running the ball. You got to have a running game, which he doesn't have. So he doesn't have a running game and he's got a lousy defense. And he has some weapons, whether you like him or not. Pickens, he's the drop ball waiting to happen. I get that, but, he's got some guys he can throw the ball to. I would take a flyer on that. If he stays healthy, which we assume he should be able to do, I could see that happening. Let me ask you something. I threw it out there in passing, but let me get your thoughts. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, Dak Prescott doesn't win a Super Bowl ever, but he has the success he's had, right?
Right.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
No. I heard you. You said, I do. Put it this way. We'll take our Miami Dolphins. The Dan Marino argument about Dan never winning a Super Bowl but having his team close, right, and performing and setting multiple records. But you're talking about a player at a time that really transformed the passing attack. When Dan Marino came on in 1984 and threw for 40-plus touchdowns, I mean, that was unheard of, basically, right? They had good quarterbacks, but to elevate his team and elevate the passing attack the way Marino did in leading his team to the Super Bowl against the 49ers, that's the difference with Dak Prescott, right? Dak could get it done in the regular season, but has he won one game in the playoffs that you say, you know what? That's a great performance, and that's at least worthy that he has huge upside. There's not one game in the playoffs, Scott, that Dak Prescott's performed at an elite level.
Yeah, but then will that matter come postseason or come Hall of Fame voting? I mean, if he ends up in the top 10, and listen, he's got to stay healthy. He's had that issue of not staying healthy, right? But back to your other question as far as can he lead? He was number 3 in passing 2 years ago when he stayed healthy. And Tom Brady was one of the two guys ahead of him, and he's not in the league anymore. So that more credence to that. So when he is healthy and he has weapons, he is good. I don't know if, Eli, you look at Eli Manning. Now, listen, he's got 2 Super Bowls. I get that. But outside of those 2 Super Bowl years, he's done nothing. He doesn't have any playoff wins outside of those Super Bowl years. That's it. I mean, but he's got that. But he's in, so I think he would get in.
Okay, so let's take it a step further, okay? Let's really narrow it down, okay? Without even looking. Do you feel Tony Romo, based off his career, as a Hall of Famer?
No.
Okay.
And I don't think Dak is either.
Okay, I don't either. But let's take it a step further with the argument. Tony Romo's played 156 games. Dak Prescott 122. Okay? Romo in his career passing touchdowns, 248. Dak has 213. Interceptions, Romo 117. Dak has 82. Passer rating, Romo 97.1, Dak 98.1. Okay? Championships, both with none. Pro Bowls, Tony with 4, right? Dak with 3. So you tell me. It's similar. Dak will probably, as long as he stays healthy, eclipse Romo's numbers. But back when Romo played, it was the same type of player, right? No championships. Yeah. Can get it done in the regular season, can't win a big game in the playoffs. At least you can make the argument that they should have beaten Green Bay with the controversial Dez Bryant reception, right? At least they had, they sniffed it. They sniffed it. What has Dallas done with Dak Prescott? Bowed out in the first round against San Fran, got knocked around 2 years ago where they lost 16-12, got kicked in the chops as a 6.5-point home favorite to a rookie, basically, quarterback in Jordan Love and a young head coach in Matt LaFleur. They got absolutely smacked around. I mean,
at home,
too. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, it's a good argument.
Eclipse, though. He's got to eclipse Romo numbers, because he's got, especially with the way they're paying these guys and the way they're protecting these guys. He's going to play another 4, 5, 6 years, I would think, right? As long as he wants to. So he's got to eclipse Romo.
Here's the record, though. Record: Romo 78-49 as a quarterback. Dak 76-46. It's almost similar right now. It's almost similar. He will eclipse that, but give me a comparison. Old school. Is he like Dan Fouts?
Eli has a losing record. Or if it's not losing, it's even. I forget.
Right.
I think it's actually. I think he's like one game under.
Here's the thing, though, Scott. The last few seasons of Eli, they were on the downswing, right? They weren't on the upswing trajectory, competing for NFC East championships. Eli was at the end of his career. He had a dead arm. They had already won the 2 Super Bowls, and they sort of peaked out in his tenure. You could make the argument that even though he's maybe closer to 500 in terms of a record, you take those previous 3 seasons off, 3 or 4 seasons, and then there you go. I mean, he played a long time.
You want to hear Eli's records outside of the Super Bowl years? 1-6, 11-5, 8-8, 10-6, 12-4, 8-8, 9-7, 9-7, 7-9, 6-10, 6-10, 11-5, 3-12, 5-11, and 1-3. He's 117 and 117.
All right, we'll come back. We'll debate more quarterbacks right here on Football Full Circle.
There's smart.
And there's not smart.
Not smart is hope as a strategy. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Keep it here.
And win. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1975, the Milwaukee Bucks traded Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Walt Wesley to the LA Lakers for 4 players. Jabbar went on to win 5 NBA championships in LA.
3 in 6 years, LA comes to Boston and wins the world title. They finally snapped the jinx, and the Lakers won it exactly where they wanted to win this world title.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Socrates, Charles Darwin, and modern science do not understand why you can't tickle yourself. New tickling research at Radboud University looks into the ticklish, complex motor, social, developmental, and evolutionary neuroscience of tickling. The test lab? You sit in a chair, stick your feet through a plate, take your shoes off. A mechanical stick tickles the bottom of your feet, while a scanner records your brain waves, heart rate, sweating, increasing intensity until... And why can't you tickle yourself? Your brain turns off the tickle reflex because it knows what's coming. Follow me at G Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Carver and Lisi.
I'm going to take this. You ready? Anton Lundell at 4-1 and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins at plus 330.
Have a blast. And now we're all going off menu here, and we're not doing it together tonight. Is that what you're telling me?
No, why can't you buy into one of these guys?
I'm doing that.
I like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Weekdays 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. There comes a point when the chips are down.
To coin a phrase.
When the only thing you can do is stop and wait. Do you want to face that moment prepared?
Or rely on luck?
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, back on Football Full Circle. The quarterback debate continues. We left off talking about, is Dak Prescott a Hall of Famer throughout his career? So let's compare it. We talked about Dan Marino and some of the others. Scott brought up Phillip Rivers in the break. Phillip Rivers is 6th all-time in terms of passing yardage. Obviously no Super Bowl, but 63,440. So I got to thinking, right? Who else could we compare Dak Prescott to that has a ton of yards passing but never won a Super Bowl championship, right? So let's talk about it. What about Carson Palmer, who is 15th on the list, Scott? Okay, 46,247. And I'll do you one better. Drew Bledsoe, 44,611. Bledsoe had a great career with the New England Patriots. before getting hurt. Obviously gave way to Tom Brady, then moved on to the Dallas Cowboys. Are we putting Carson Palmer or Drew Bledsoe into the Hall of Fame because neither are right now? And now we're going to anoint Dak Prescott because statistically he's done it?
Yeah, those are good ones, right? I would even go so far as maybe like an Andy Dalton. Like I think Bledsoe and Palmer are better than Dak. I put him in the Andy Dalton class, who's top 50, top 30 even. I think he's 26th all-time passing. Like, and you're not even like talking Andy Dalton, right? I know he's still playing, but he's not getting Hall of Fame. I wouldn't have a problem with Bledsoe getting in. I really, he would have won a Super Bowl. I think they would have, the year that Brady took over, they beat the Rams. They won on defense, and I think he would have won that Super Bowl.
It's a good conversation, though. Yeah, I mean, Bledsoe is not thought of in a lot of these elite quarterback, type of
good,
debates. He was good.
He was really good.
You're talking about at a time where he was statistically in terms of the tops in the AFC year after year after year, and it wasn't until he got hurt that the team overexceeded with Tom Brady. But you're right, they did it on defense. They did it with more of a ball control attack. See, I don't know about Palmer big picture. I thought Palmer was good. I don't know if Carson Palmer, just jumps off the page saying, wow, he was an elite quarterback. Yeah, but I think Dak is slightly better than Andy Dalton, though. I think career-wise, but you can make the argument at least Andy Dalton has a playoff win.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's like the perfect scenario. Get in the playoffs and just, how many years in a row did they lose? Like 6 years in a row, 7 years in a row, whatever it was. I remember them talking about how they couldn't get over the hump with Andy Dalton. Overachiever, later draft choice, like Dak Prescott. And I think he's the perfect scenario. So maybe you're right. Maybe Dak wouldn't get in. But I tell you, he's got to finish. If he's going to play 4 to 6 more years like we're thinking he's going to do, he's got to finish in the top 20, top 15 in passing categories. A lot of these guys playing now are just, it's the nature of the beast now. They're just throwing the football 5,000 times. But ultimately, would he get in based on those numbers without any kind of real postseason success? Maybe not then. Maybe he wouldn't. I know I wouldn't put him in. Doesn't sound like you would either. But the media is what votes on this stuff.
Right.
And sometimes they have their favorite players, and maybe they make the case for whatever reason he was on a bad team, and Jerry Jones, stopped caring, and this, that, and what have you. So, but I
Jerry Jones, let me tell you, that organization in terms of the Dallas Cowboys aren't winning anything until Jerry Jones moves on. And obviously Stephen Jones' son will probably take over. They'll just be stuck in neutral for years to come. I honestly believe that. They do a pretty good job of drafting young talent. It's just a matter of getting the coach to buy in and having the right type of, I want to say motivator for that club. Just from a game plan perspective, McCarthy wasn't right. We'll see if Schottenheimer could get it done in regards to this regular season. I still don't believe it. I think there'll be a 5 or a 6 win football team at best, but we'll see if they can pull it out. I do.
You think it'll be that bad?
Yeah, I think the defense is that bad. Here's the thing. I do not believe Micah Parsons and that defense can stop anybody. And they proved that last year, Scott. Forget the fact that Dak went down. Cooper Rush still had experience, right? Was he a world beater? No. But he was still able to move the football in certain types of games. You can't give up 30-plus points week after week after week. New York Giants scored 20-plus on Thanksgiving.
But you believe in the Bengals, and the Bengals are the same thing as the Dallas Cowboys, right?
Yeah, but their offense is that much more consistent, and Joey B wins. That's the difference. We'll come back. Season-long odds on FanDuel coming up next.
The Winning Edge.
You've got it.
But not everybody has it, because not everybody listens to us.
But we're working on that.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. Stanley Cup Finals, the Panthers are one win away from repeating as champions. Game 6 is Tuesday night in Florida. Brad Marchand had a pair of goals in a 5-2 win at Edmonton on Saturday. College World Series, number 13 Coastal Carolina has advanced to the semifinals. They'll take on the winner of Tuesday's Louisville-Oregon State matchup. Elimination game today between Murray State and Arkansas. The winner advances to face the winner of tonight's number 15 UCLA, number 6 LSU matchup. NBA Finals, Game 5 tonight in Oklahoma City. Thunder and Pacers, the series knotted up at 2-2. Oklahoma City evened things up with a 111-104 win in Game 4 at Indianapolis on Friday. After tonight's game, the series heads back to Indianapolis on Thursday night. And if necessary, Game 7 would be next Sunday at Oklahoma City. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21. With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Broker Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
You're listening to SportsGrid.
Spreading the winning edge far and wide.
Terrestrial, internet, TV, satellite, and don't forget our mobile app.
Face it.
The Winning Edge is everywhere.
Somewhere there's a squirrel frustrated he can't get a phone.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, continuing the conversation, I told you FanDuel put up season-long markets for the quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. We talked about the quarterbacks. Will Dak Prescott be in the mix? He's a 13-1 shot. Let's move on to the receivers because this is a pretty deep market, Scott. It goes all the way down. You could get triple digits on some of these guys. So we'll talk about it. Season-long props. Jamar Chase to lead the league in terms of receiving yards at 6-1, followed by Nico Collins at plus 750. Justin Jefferson at plus 750, and then Puka Nacua at 10-1. But if you want to take a deep shot, I'll just give you like a deep name that we talked about last week in terms of receiving yards that we didn't think about, right? Jerry Jeudy with the Cleveland Browns, right? He was a 1,250-yard receiver. 50-1 shot, Scott, with potentially Kenny Pickett at the helm. So there's some deep value on some of these players, even like Mike Evans right now, 60-1 on FanDuel.
Yeah, I'd be better with Evans than I would Jerry Jeudy. With Kenny Pickett maybe throwing him the football, you can give me 150-1. It is amazing that he had so many yards. Like I said, we were laughing about that last week. Like if you gave me the top 5, top 10, I don't know too many people that actually would include Jerry Jeudy. So to me, he's been like a disappointment coming out of college more than anything else. But okay. Right. But the Mike Evans thing, now listen, I understand he's coming off an injury, but you got Baker throwing the football all over the place. Another guy that's probably exceeded expectations recently. Most people wouldn't have him throwing for 5,000 yards last year and 4,000 yards, but he did. So that's not too bad if you want a long shot. But I must say, those guys that you rattled off, I mean, I don't believe in Nico Collins with all the offensive line issues with Houston. I would go right at the top. I would take Jamar Chase at 6-1. Puka's got to share the football now, so I don't know how many passes he's going to be getting the ball thrown to as much as he did before. Right. So I think at 6-1, the Bengals defense still stinks. Like we said, I think they're still going to be in shootouts. I know they re-signed Higgins. I get that, but that didn't stop them from getting him the ball, last year and 2 years ago and 3 years ago when Higgins was on the team. So why not at 6-1?
See, now it's an intriguing market. I'll tell you why. Because I thought of one name, and I'm like, let me zero in on where this guy is because I'm curious to see what Scott thinks, right? And I cannot find him on the list. Okay, and the one player I thought that just jumped to mind because I saw his teammate, I saw Rashee Rice at 44-1. So knowing that Rice is coming back from the ACL injury, right? Obviously has one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best in terms of Pat Mahomes. My mind immediately raced to Xavier Worthy. But Xavier Worthy, Scott, is not on the list. You can't find Worthy. So they have Kelsey, they have Rashee Rice, but I can't find, unless I'm missing it, where is Xavier Worthy on the list, Scotty?
He's got to be on there.
He's not.
He's going to be the number one. Why would they have Kelsey? Unless they just want to, people are dumbing up to bet Travis Kelsey.
Everybody. Here, I'll rattle them off. CD Lamb, 11-1. Brian Thomas, 12-1. Malik Neighbors, A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, St. Brown from Detroit, JSN, Drake London, Ladd McConkey, DJ Moore, T. Higgins, Brock Bowers, Garrett Wilson. No Xavier Worthy. Where would he be on this list, Scott? Would he be less than 40-1? He has to be, right?
Yeah. He's the number one guy, right? I mean, I could see not having Rice on the list because you don't know what he's going to be like, after last year's injury. But I don't understand why Worthy wouldn't be on the list, unless there's something that we don't know about. But that's got to be just a mistake.
Philadelphia has A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith on there. I mentioned Devonta Smith is 70-1 to win it. Zay Flowers is on there. They have Matt Golden on there, the rookie from Texas, 130-1, right? The 130-1 shot with Jordan Love, but no Xavier Worthy. I thought it was interesting.
That's got to be weird. They must have just forgot him, or is he injured that we don't know about? He didn't get hurt last year, right? I mean, he didn't finish last year with any major injury.
Had 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl for 150-plus yards.
I was going to say, I hit all my Worthy Super Bowl props, so I know he's not injured. So unless he did something over the summer that we don't know about that FanDuel does. The boys in Vegas always know things before everyone else. Don't be surprised to see some injury, pop up a week or two, or when training camps opens up. Oh, Xavier Worthy, hurt his leg.
Well, let's talk about this. How about CD Lamb at 11-1? We know the addition of George Pickens. We know that Dak Prescott wants to throw it. We talked about Dak potentially being a 4,500-yard passer this year as long as he's healthy. 11-1 isn't a bad number, along with Brian Thomas. We know that he broke out in terms of year number 1. We know how those LSU guys love to compete. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, right there in terms of the top 4. You want to take a shot on Neighbors or Brian Thomas, 12-1 for both players entering 2025.
Yeah, I like the Thomas one. And CD is pretty good too. Like I said, you got to have the perfect scenario in all these things, or something that would lead you to, okay, they're going to be throwing the football and he's going to be the guy. We know it's Cincinnati, because their defense stinks and they're going to be in a ton of shootouts, and they're a throwing team, obviously. With Jacksonville, you got the new head coach. I can't imagine them bringing in a new head coach to hand the ball off. You don't pay Trevor Lawrence, $50 million a year basically to hand the ball off, right? So, and Brian Thomas is clearly, from what we saw last year, the number one guy. So I could definitely see that, and they're in a bad division. So 6 games against bad defenses for the most part. So I like that. And then with Dallas, same thing, right? With Lamb. Dallas defense stinks. They're going to give up 30 points a game. Every single game they're going to be going in. They got no running game. So you got to find reasons. That's why I stay away from Justin Jefferson. I think that's a big risk. With J.J. McCarthy as your starting quarterback,
huge risk.
Yeah, I mean, that's to me, I would not do that at all.
I wouldn't do it either.
But I'll lead the league.
Right. And I'll give you another one. And he might be poised for a breakout year, even though we think the team, and we're both fans, the Miami Dolphins will regress. you take Tyreek Hill at 18-1, it's contingent on Tua playing basically 17 games, right? He's not healthy. Right. You have a serious concern now in terms of regression, and we know how Mike McDaniel is as a head coach. Once the wheels came off the wagon last year, he couldn't get himself out of it. So if you're betting Tyreek Hill at 18-1, that's a Tua bet immediately correlated to that number, right? It ain't 18-1 if Tua's not healthy. So I can't back that number either. The one that I think I could back, Scott, and I understand now we have to see how the offensive line is, but knowing Jared Goff, St. Brown at 25-1, knowing that he is a huge part of that offense, he's still the number one option for Jared Goff in the passing attack. 25-1, we know he's going to get around 100 receptions. That's not a bad number or value for a starting wide receiver that puts up huge dynamic performances week in and week out.
Yeah, and it plays indoors, doesn't have to necessarily worry about the weather outside a game or two. And they're always going to put pedal to the metal. They got an offensive-minded head coach, a former tight end. So, yeah, that's halfway decent. They got the two running back where they could run the ball, no two ways about it, but their offense has been so good. And I think that this year they're going to, not that they didn't last year, but I think this year they're going to want to bound and beat up a lot of teams, Joe. After what happened to them in the postseason, I think they got this major chip on their shoulder. They got to show the world. People are talking about Green Bay. They're talking about Chicago. They don't know what they're getting out of Minnesota. Kind of like Detroit's just kind of lying in the weeds there a little bit. And it's up to the Lions to kind of flex their muscles once again. And I think they do this year.
Yeah, when we come back, we'll break down the NFC North. There's some pretty good value on the Chicago Bears wide receivers. We'll dive into that next right here on Football Full Circle. Lisi and Wetzel talking NFL. Coming right back.
Saying every SportsGrid listener is a legend, but you might start thinking about who's going to play you in the movie. Just saying. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With your news flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Sky Rizzi. President Donald Trump celebrated the American military in remarks following a parade in Washington, D.C. commemorating the 250th anniversary of the armed services. In all, 84 military vehicles, including 28 Abrams tanks, 6,700 marching soldiers, and other military presentations rolled through the streets of Washington for the celebration, which also happened to fall on Trump's 79th birthday. Trump touted the military's might and offered a warning to America's enemies. Flash flooding caused by torrential rains killed 5 people in northern West Virginia, and rescue crews were searching for 3 other people who were missing Sunday as authorities assess damage to roads, bridges, natural gas lines, and other infrastructure. Officials say 2.5 to 4 inches of rain fell in parts of Wheeling and Ohio County within about a half hour on Saturday night. I'm Trey Westerberg with your news flash.
Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Save $100 on the Craftsman V20 6-tool power tool combo kit, now at $199. No matter what the project is, Craftsman's high-quality, high-performance products empower you to build on. Stop by your nearest Lowe's store and check out the full line of Craftsman tools today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Remember when you were thankful you could just get AM and FM?
Things have progressed.
Now even an app on your phone can give you a 21st century thrill with that little drop of heaven called
the deposit notification.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, breaking down the prop markets for the upcoming 2025 season in the NFL. We talked about Xavier Worthy, his potential number to lead the NFL in receiving yards. Wasn't up on FanDuel. In the break, I found it up on DK. It's an 80-1 shot, which is sort of intriguing, knowing how he broke out in terms of the Super Bowl. The one bright spot for the Kansas City offense was Xavier Worthy. 2 big play in terms of the touchdown receptions. Did have over 150 receiving yards. DK has him at 80-1. Rashee Rice coming back from the ACL. FanDuel has him at 44-1. I'm not so sure, Scott, that Rice is still going to be the number one option with the emergence of Xavier Worthy. I would take a shot on Worthy at 80-1. I think he's a more explosive route runner and now coming into his own in year number 2.
Yeah, a little weird why FanDuel wouldn't have him. And they don't even have him listed in any of the other categories. Like you could bet wide receivers, Joe, to get 750 yards at 1,000 yards, 1,250. Like they don't have him maybe in that. Sometimes they'll forget to put him in one category, but at least you'll see him in another. Don't even see him in those. And, they go way deep. They got rookies, that you could bet on to get the 750 or 1,000 yards. So I don't know why they would not have him. That's a little weird. They finished with, 650 or so yards last year. So, had a decent number. It's Kansas City. Everyone wants to bet Kansas City players, right? So a little strange on why he wouldn't be listed. But at least he is on DraftKings, and they're 80-1 gives you an idea where he, more than likely would be if he was listed on FanDuel.
Let's touch on the running back position because it's Saquon and Derrick Henry to lead the league this season. You got Saquon at plus 270, Derrick Henry at plus 550. I actually think the number on Henry at plus 550 is legit. We know how Baltimore has great success in terms of running the football, but they also win football games when Derrick Henry steps up. Jonathan Taylor, we talked about him last week at 10-1, Scott. But Bijan Robinson, 11-1. McCaffrey, 11-1. Jahmyr Gibbs now 15-1. He'll be the mainstay, but what do you get out of the offensive line? Anybody else that potentially jumps off the page? I know last week you mentioned Bucky Irvin. He's a 25-1 shot. Knowing what Baker has in terms of the passing attack, not bad value for Tampa Bay this season.
Yeah. He would be one. Kyron Williams would be another. I think, listen, they're going to throw the football with the Rams. I get that, but you need someone to run the ball, and he clearly is the number one guy. So I would look at him. We touched on Jonathan Taylor last week, right? So he obviously would be the one. You want to go as far down? You want to go James Conner in Arizona? You're buying into the Arizona team. He ran for 1,000 yards last year. Defense isn't any good. You're going to want to keep on scoring and scoring and scoring. So, he would be on that list. I would say, I would take a little flyer at him. What are his numbers?
James Conner's 36-1. Let me ask you this, because we don't know if he's checked in or checked out. He wants a long-term deal, hasn't gotten one yet. Supposedly he's putting his house up for sale. James Cook with Buffalo. Now, here's the thing. If the situation gets really murky, does Buffalo move on from James Cook, and could he be on another team where the 36-1 might have some value? I mean, let's say he's not happy in Buffalo, right? I believe Buffalo will sign him, but you need him in the offense. If he's not in Buffalo's offense, if he goes somewhere else, and let's just say they get rid of him, 36-1 isn't bad for one of the most explosive players in the NFL this year.
That's not bad. Especially, you get big leads. You want to sit on the ball. He would be the one, again, you got to play out the storm, there's many different ways you can look at it. But, if you're a Buffalo fan, you have a 20, 30-point lead and you want to run out the clock, you're going to feed the ball to him. He's clearly the number one guy there in Buffalo, right? So use him up before you let him go, or do you be conservative because you want to re-sign him? And I'm more inclined with you get used up before they let you go, to tell you the truth. So you want to how about the little flyer on he only ran for 100 yards one time last year. And I know they're going to throw the football, but Chase Brown for Cincinnati. He came on, it took him a half a season to really emerge as like really the guy at Cincinnati. Still ran for close to 1,000 yards, 990 last year. Now we know how good he is. You got to balance off the passing somewhat. How about Chase Brown for Cincy? He's got to have good numbers.
But he could also catch the football out of the backfield. If they had a total yard, like all-purpose, I think I would buy into Chase Brown because he's dominant in terms of the receiving game as well. I'll throw one more out at you. I know you're not high on this team, and there's two backs there, but Breece Hall at 28-1 with Aaron Glenn now. If you don't buy into Justin Fields like you don't, I mean, why not? Okay, but Breece Hall, 28-1 to lead the league.
Yeah. Defensive head coach, right? And Aaron Glenn wants to run the ball, keep the offense off the field, keep the defense, or keep the defense off the field and run the balls. Obviously Justin Fields can't throw a lick, so we know they're not going to be throwing the football for 200 yards a game. Yeah, God forbid. So
I'll give you one more. Yeah?
It's not bad.
Okay.
Not bad.
How about Tank Bigsby? You're high on Jacksonville. Liam Cohen, knowing what he did with that rushing attack of Rachaad White and Bucky Irvin, elevated him to one of the best in the league, right? When he took over that offense last year, Tampa Bay entered that year last season only averaging 89 rushing yards per game. That was in bottom third in the NFL. It was almost dead to last. He elevated them over 130 rushing yards per game. If you believe in Liam Cohen and you believe in offensive balance, Tank Bigsby at 60-1, Scott, could be a great find. I mean, if you're thinking they're going to run the football, Tank Bigsby, 60-1 isn't. I mean, he's a starting running back. You're getting him at almost. I mean, that's crazy number when you think about some of the other guys. DeAndre Swift, 49-1.
But they clearly, with ETN, they really had two guys in that backfield, right? I mean, he would have to go above him. They both ran for about the same. Bigsby a little bit more, right? But ETN ran for, 500-600 yards, and Tank ran for 700. So, yeah, it pretty much is.
Yeah, he had turnover problems, ETN, at the end of the regular season. Yep. That's why Bigsby came on. We'll come back and wrap it up right here on Football Full Circle.
Is winning the lottery. Strategy is settling your divorce before cashing in the ticket.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and SiriusXM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi, then boils over with Gabe Moritzi on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Imagine combining the exciting investment opportunity of cryptocurrencies with the power of artificial intelligence to maximize your IRA, 401k, or other investment funds. Listen, if you're looking for ways to accelerate your retirement growth, Block Trust IRA has market-leading strategies and solutions for all levels of investors, from $1,000 to millions. And they partner with Bitcoin Magazine's #1 crypto trading fund in the world to maximize your returns. Plus, their team of IRA specialists is here to help you roll over your IRA or qualified retirement account to the new world of cryptocurrency investments. So make this free call right now to set up your account and learn more.
800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. That's 800-434-5313.
It's stark but true.
You can either listen to SportsGrid for strategies, odds, and more, or you can pay your bills by digging in your couch cushions for change.
Just be sure to wear gloves.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, wrapping up Football Full Circle, and Scott and I will be here throughout the week breaking down college and NFL action, and we'll try to hit on the college a little bit later in the week. But I do want to bring up one more, Scott, divisions. And we talked about, the NFC East earlier with Dak Prescott and this team as a whole. I know you're buying into Schottenheimer. Are you buying into the Dallas Cowboys at plus 480 to potentially steal it? We know no back-to-back division winner since 2004. I believe it's Philly or bust. They're minus 135, but would you take a shot on the plus 480 with Dak and the boys?
Yeah, I would. I think, listen, the odds on if that streak continues, it's going to be Washington, right? That would make the most sense. But why not with Dallas at 480? It is all kind of predicated on something going wrong with Philadelphia, right? That's what would have to happen. Although their schedule is very, very difficult, but still, ultimately, something's got to go wrong. Hurts gets hurt, Barkley gets hurt, something goes wrong. That's how a lot of these categories are. Not that you're wishing that upon anyone, but you assume something's going to happen to the odds-on favorite. Who's next to step in line? I'm a Schottenheimer guy in that I've seen enough failures at Dallas. I don't know why people are so down on this poor guy. He's been a lifelong NFLer. His father, Marty, obviously great NFL head coach, although he's also never could win the big one, right? So odds are that his son will be the same way. But ultimately, I think he'll have success there. Work with Dak. I'm sure Dak had some say in him, getting the job. I'm sure Dak gave the sign of approval. So, everything is honky-dory between those two. I think Dallas is a halfway decent chance of making the postseason this year.
All right, we'll see how that plays out. I disagree, but we'll see if they can hit the ground running. Obviously, first month of the regular season will dictate whether Schottenheimer's dialed in or not. I brought up last segment about the Chicago Bears, and what's intriguing is when we broke down the receiving market, right, they did have DJ Moore as the front runner at 40-1 to lead the league, but you have Roman Duze that's there as well. He was 130-1, Scott, to potentially lead the league in terms of receiving yards, a huge jump. But in year number 2 with Caleb Williams, we know that he's a big play threat. With Ben Johnson, could a Duze be that type of receiver, 1,250, 1,300, 1,400 yards? A little bit like what we saw with Rashee Rice and Pat Mahomes towards the middle of last year.
Right. Got to figure it's only going to get better, right? Year number 2, big difference between year 1 and year 2 for everybody, including the wide receivers. I do think they'll throw the football a little bit more. They got a lot to prove. Caleb's got a lot to prove. The head coach has Ben Johnson's got a lot to prove. So kind of like a prove a year for them. I don't know about leading the league, Joe, but if you want to put him in one of those categories that we talked about last week, 1,000 yards, 1,250, I'd consider that, but I don't think he's going to lead the league, though.
1,000 yards, Scotty, plus 270. Does it have you buying in?
I'd say yeah. All right.
That's not bad. I think he will be the number one choice. 750, Scott, is minus 145. I know DJ Moore is a productive wide receiver, but when you just look at last year, especially towards the end of the regular season, it did look like Caleb was starting to, look for Rome a little bit more than DJ. They were starting to double team DJ a little bit more. I don't think it's bad value. The 750 doesn't really do much for me at minus 145. The 270 for 1,000 yards, I think, is doable.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Joe, 1,000 yards when you had 12 games or 14 games was okay. That's a nice little milestone, right? But you're talking about 17 games. It's basically 60, 65 yards a game. That's all you need to reach 1,000 yards. So I would think that, for a young guy who figures to stay healthy, not take time off, not rest, not have to worry about any of those things like an older wide receiver might do, up 20 points, maybe he sits out, that this guy's going to be in there. I would be disappointed if he didn't get at least 60, 65 yards a game.
The other player, and we'll stick to the NFC North, Scott, that I think could have a breakout season is Jameson Williams, plus 135 to be a 1,000-yard wide receiver. We know about St. Brown, but Williams came on, especially in big performances. He's an explosive guy. I mean, that could be 1 or 2 games where he could break out 150, 175 yards. Jameson Williams, I think, has great value in terms of the market up on FanDuel.
Yeah. By the way, it's 59 yards, we'll say, 58.8.
Right.
59 in a 17-game schedule to get to 1,000, whether it's rushing, receiving, whatever the case may be.
very doable for the Detroit Lions this coming season. We'll be back tomorrow breaking down all the odds. For Danny Ohlers and Scott Wetzel, I'm Lisi. Have a great day, everyone.
You found the advantage for gaming, odds, and more. But we call it the winning edge for short. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.